Let us preserve the unity of our beautiful country, Cameroon.
This is a message from Royal FM, the listeners' radio.
Les 14 free boy. Orange ajoute flop les millions dans ta vie. Des voitures de l'heure, des voyages pour atterrir au Maroc. Pour enjoy tout ça, souscris à un forfait Orange Bonus au Jazz 111 étoiles 1 Jazz ou Jazz 150 Jazz ou go sur Max X. Orange est là.
Orange est là.
Subscribe to Masuk for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2Pm Newscast
with
Biwa Brian.
Tuesday, February 17. Good afternoon, Radio Faithfuls, and welcome to the 2 p.m. news on Reality 8.4 FM. The headlines. With sights set to the skies, Muslims in Cameroon and across the globe are waiting the new moon that will signal the official start of the holy month of Ramadan. In anticipation of the month defined by devotion and sacrifice, the faithful say they are ready to spend the coming weeks in total dedication to Allah.
A Muslim believer will practice the holy month of Ramadan by giving total will and submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Out of the country, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has sounded an alarm regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo's budgetary health, specifically highlighting a major fiscal risk linked to the ballooning public sector wage bills. And in sports, Cameroon's bid for a spot in the 2026 Under-17 African Cup of Nations is set to kick off today in Kinshasa. The team has been programmed to face Gabon at 4 p.m. on account of match day 1 for the Unifac zonal tournaments. Those were the headlines, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for the development of these stories and several others. Good afternoon once more. We begin the news with this human interest story that occurred in Kolbisong neighborhood in Yaoundé. News has it that a woman has killed her 3 children and also committed suicide following repeated infidelity by her partner. The case has gone viral on social media, with internet users pouring in their reactions. Our youth and education reporter Glory Gange has gotten the views of experts in sociology and psychology. She has the details in this report.
A couple's fight that resulted in the death of 3 innocent children has touched many hearts on and off social media. Gwenny Victorine describes the situation.
This is suicidal. This woman is very dangerous. It is not only suicide, it is homicide and manslaughter put together. Depression leads to violence, and then violence is driven by intense emotions such as anger, self-centeredness, selfishness, hatred, jealousy, low self-esteem.
From expert points of view, Dr. Didier Demasoso and Gwenny Victorine, psychologists and sociologists respectively, highlight
the behavior of the young lady highly suggests, hypothetically, that she should have been in extreme psychological distress in a very unsupportive environment with little ability to cope.
All what she has just done is as a result of trauma. This woman was traumatized because of the infidelity on the part of her husband.
Both experts reveal certain situations can trigger such reactions from individuals, especially when the environment does not permit them to share their worries.
Some people have intense emotions that they can't control, like this woman. Because of what happened, she went to extremes. She no longer cared. She becomes a suicider, a psychopath.
There is need to understand that all forms of mental health issues have to be assessed by a mental professional, and that actions or behaviors, as abnormal as they can be or look like, cannot immediately be attributable to a mental health condition.
The woman in question had reportedly sent across threats to her husband, stating she would kill the children if he does not stop cheating. Dr. Didier Demasoso warns that this case is a call for concern.
It is putting forward the safety of children in families when parents are in conflict. It is putting forward the safety of the parents themselves. And it is also putting to the forefront the responsibility of the community when families and individuals are at risk harming themselves or of developing mental issues.
Even though several reasons for the act have been revealed by close sources, an investigation is underway to find out the real cause of the tragedy.
The African media landscape is mourning following the sudden death of legendary Cameroonian TV host and producer Konsti Eka, who passed on February 16, 2026. Known affectionately as the King of the TV, Eka reportedly suffered a fatal medical emergency at his workplace in Abidjan, resulting to his death. Our newsroom interviewed some animators in regards to that to get their memories of the now late Konsti Eka.
My name is Dulafe Valerie, but popularly known as Sir Dulafe, radio voice, TV voice, at the same time a professional host. Well, Konsti Eka, who doesn't know Konsti Eka? Be it in music, as other artists would definitely find pleasure in calling his name as a reference, Konsti Eka, you see. But most importantly, he was nicknamed, the TV King or the King of the TV. That is because he was beautifully eloquent and he made TV become a reality, the relaxed nature, professional presentation. At the same time, the job was meant for him. There are people who are born with the talent and there are people who learn. He was born with the talent and he learned also on the field. So he was a double blessing. His was a double blessing. And Konsti Eka will always be remembered as one of the best when it comes to the media landscape. So it is a loss, but at the same time, his legacy will always remain because one way or the other, his career, his works will be reflected in people just like us. There are many Konsti Ekas already in Cameroon. You might deny it today, but he has a signature in every one of us.
In religion, Muslim faithfuls are getting set to kickstart the holy month of Ramadan, set to begin on February 18 or February 19, depending on the sighting of the crescent moon. During this period, believers mostly focus on spiritual purification by adopting several religious behaviors. Fini Crispin, head of Reporters Brigade and Culture, has the details.
Ramadan, the 9th month of the Muslim calendar, is one of the most sacred times for Muslims. Nuhu Muhammad is a predictor.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us another opportunities to witness the holy month of Ramadan. And Muslim believers have to purify their heart, their body, the good intention, physically, morally, in order to welcome the holy month of Ramadan and prepare to worship Almighty Allah, ask for His forgiveness and of Ramadan. And that is what we are going to prepare and behavior we are going to give.
For the next 30 or 29 days of the month, Muslims observe a strict fast from dawn until sunset.
So a Muslim believer will practice the holy month of Ramadan by giving total will and submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by asking for forgiveness, by multiplying the charities, feeding the needy, feeding the vulnerable peoples in the community, in the society. So it is the whole month of blessings that covers everywhere in the world, whereby if you give one sadaqat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply it 100 times for you to get the benefit of it.
Ramadan is a sacred month that offers Muslims a unique opportunity for profound spiritual reflection and growth. This period of fasting and devotion encourages believers to detach from worldly distractions and focus on their relationship with Allah. Moreover, it is the month in which it is believed that the Holy Quran was sent down from heaven as a guidance for men and women, a declaration of direction and a means of salvation.
And in the same vein, the holy month of Ramadan is usually marked by activities including fasting, prayers, and charity among faithfuls throughout the month. Here are some believers in Islam sharing their level of preparedness to take on the mission. They are speaking on the microphone of our reporter, Glory Gange.
I'm preparing very well for the upcoming fasting. It's an experience that comes once in a year. I'm well prepared emotionally, psychologically, physically. I've started even preparing my things. I've already ground corn for pap, sugar. I've also buy beans, rice, so many things that is going to help me throughout the month. In fact, I was prepared since January.
It's not the first time that I'll be observing a fast. So physically, I'm well prepared. I don't feel sick. I'm healthy and very ready to start. And psychologically, I would say that I have had this in mind that it will be beginning. I don't think psychologically I have any problem.
There are different types of preparation, the married people and unmarried people. I'm not yet married, so I have prepared to clear only my mind, not to make people angry and not to get angry also. To be polite and respect, to make my 5 daily prayers, make sure I pray in time and do the necessary things, reciting Quran.
Improving the living conditions of people with disabilities and those vulnerable to climate hazards like floods and drought is the objective behind the implementation of an inclusive emergency response orientation plan in the central and northern regions of Cameroon. The official handing over ceremony for the plan for that of the Mfundi division in Yaoundé held at the senior divisional office today. Julius was present at the gathering and was interviewed by reporter Anilizet Ambassa.
We are looking at the situation of disability inclusive development and the aspect of prevention through disability inclusive disaster risk reduction enabled us to see a gap that in a division where we had frequent happenings, including floods and health risk, there was no plan for emergency response. And so it gave us the opportunity not only to support the putting in place of this plan, but the one that is inclusive of persons with disabilities, which comes in a time where we understand in the event of disasters, whether natural or man-made, persons with disabilities are the most hard hit and they are the least to be reached. So highlighting the importance of disability inclusion is to make sure that this trend is reversed. The most important aspect of this document is that it has a mapping of the risk and also the presence of persons with disabilities in the high-risk areas, so that there is a communication plan in a way that in the event of any action, the committee which is responding has to put in place communication that is inclusive of persons with disabilities, and every response would take into account the specific needs of persons with disabilities.
Fon Julius speaking in that excerpt collected for us by Anilizet Ambassa. The movement for the development and the defense of the Republic of Cameroon, the MDDR party, now has a new national president, Abdurrahman Hamadou Buba, who was elected last February 7, 2026 during the party's national congress in Yaoundé. It is worth noting that he will have to lead the party for a mandate of 5 years. Alemkem Richard is a political analyst. He sheds light on certain issues concerning the new president of the MDDRC party. Take a listen.
Creating a new political party in Cameroon now is of no use, in my own opinion. No matter the personality, for me, it makes no sense at all. What we need at the moment in Cameroon is a complete redress of the system. Yes, and the system is not until we change the system, until we put a new political system in Cameroon, we cannot be able to do anything in the current dispensation. So creating a new party, I know Abdurrahman Mohamedou, I know his capacity to govern, the capacity to galvanize and the rest, but actually we are in an environment where things are upside down. Our political system is dead. We need to review our constitution, review state institutions, to have things move normally. Our political parties in Cameroon, they are all bad.
Cameroon is betting big on waste management. The country's new waste exchange is aiming to turn trash into cash, while initiators highlight its potential to structure the waste sector and attract investment. Experts warn that the success of this project will depend on effective regulation, long-term sustainability, and the active participation of all stakeholders. Jeffrey Tachum spoke to one of them and now reports.
At first glance,
The initiative of waste exchange is promising and could create many opportunities such as employment and also reduce pollution amongst others, as Valerie Asundep, economist, explains.
The initiative is timely and promising, that is true. If well managed, it could create jobs, reduce pollution in major cities, supporting recycling industries, and finally formalize the informal waste sector that already employs thousands of people.
But in the light of past similar initiatives that turned out to be failures, it is safe to take this other government's ambition with a pinch of salt, as the experts further highlight.
Skepticism remains because similar initiatives have failed in the past due to weak coordination, poor governance, unclear business models, and most importantly, low public participation. So incentives have to be clear: how the waste is going to be priced, who is going to be the decision maker, how is the private sector going to play into it.
To conclude, Valerie Asundep emphasizes on execution and transparency, two important factors which he believes will determine the success of the project around waste management.
The real test will be execution. The success of the waste exchange depends heavily on transparency, strong local implementation, and treating waste as an economic commodity, not just an environmental concern. If these conditions are met, Cameroon's waste exchange could truly turn trash into treasure. If not, it may repeat the mistakes of the past.
If properly regulated and widely adopted, the waste exchange could become a model for sustainable development, linking environmental responsibility to economic opportunities. Besides, government monitoring and private sector engagement are decisive factors that will determine its effectiveness.
We remain in waste management with a focus on scrap metal, which is one of the sources of waste often collected by some individuals to sell for recycling. The search for this type of waste by scrap metal collectors is often not judged favorable by residents. Our society reporter Ngang Nader spoke to some Cameroonians who share their experiences and their perceptions about these often overlooked entrepreneurs. Details in this report.
According to Grista, while some scrap metal collectors are doing a great job, others are not quite pulling their weight, which in turn undermines the good work being done by the rest.
Most of the time, I would say we are mostly thieves. I remember one day we were in the shanty and we left part of some rings in the back, and we noticed the guys passed in the morning, and by evening when we came down to pick the rings and keep in the store, we realized that none of the rings was still there. So most of them are thieves, but some of them are genuine, because that some will come and beg, please, are there some busted things here or iron you don't use so we can get, while others are just thieves.
Ricky says the collectors are doing a great job clearing gutters and collecting waste, but some cross the line by taking stuff without permission.
It's really a good experience. They like metals that could be blocking passages of waste in gutters. They help remove them. And the negative experience too is that they go for picking people's things without their consent. Like someone leaves his or her metal object like pots outside, they go for picking them.
Kelly thinks some of these collectors are just pretending to be all about the recycling game, but really they are just scavengers in disguise.
Most of the time, I always see these people like they are probably thieves that disguise in that form, and I never always like to see them around anywhere I live. They just come into your space and start picking things. Sometimes they will just appear like a mad person. Sometimes you think it's a thief that is trying to steal something, and then when you go tight and then you go closer and then you hear the person saying he's picking iron. But I don't even like the people. Like, if you want to get an iron from me, come and tell me too.
Sharing a story to back up her claim, she says these collectors often swoop in and take stuff from households without asking the owners.
They are always taking things without your permission. I remember there was a time I was passing somewhere and I saw one lady literally fighting with them because one came and picked up something that she still had use for, but because he saw it around beside her house, and so he just concluded that it was abandoned and he decided to pick it and go. And so she was saying that she still has use for it, but he has just come and picked it and going as if he's the one that kept it. There was a serious argument.
A local recycling company recently published a list of competitive prices for buying of waste materials with scrap metal waste bought at 100 francs per kilogram.
Out of the country, the International Monetary Fund IMF has sounded an alarm regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo's budgetary health, specifically highlighting a major fiscal risk linked to the ballooning public sector wage bill. Expenditures on personnel have already surged past the forecasted limit set for 2025 and 2026. And in order to maintain macroeconomic stability, the IMF is pushing Kinshasa to enact swift structural reforms. However, these calls for change face skepticism from civil society, which points to the persistence of redundant, wasteful institutions and the emergence of new government units that overlap with the existing functions. In Niger, the head of Niger's military regime, General Abdurrahman, concluded a 2-day official visit to Algeria on Monday, February 16, at the invitation of Algerian President. The head of the National Committee for the Safeguarding of the Homeland, CNSP, was accompanied by a large ministerial delegation for his visit, which brings an end to several months of diplomatic crisis between Niamey and Algeria. Further out of the country, we still talk in Niger, where a military regime in Niger's military coup is set to stage ongoing actions in order to curb ongoing diplomatic crisis, which was already set between Algiers and Niamey in the days behind. We now talk sports, where the Cameroon Athletics Federation has officially released the list of 339 male and female athletes set to compete in the upcoming Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. This highly anticipated 2026 edition is scheduled to take place in Boya this Saturday, featuring a diverse international field with confirmed participants arriving from Nigeria, South Africa, Germany, several other countries, including the host country, Cameroon. The final roster was validated following a strategic meeting between the Federation and Optimum Consulting Service to ensure all technical preparations are complete for the said mountain race this weekend. In more sports news, this time football, Cameroon's under 17 Lions are set to begin their bid for a ticket to the 2026 African Cup of Nations today. The team has been programmed to face Gabon at 4 p.m. on account of match day 1 for the UNIFAC zonal tournament, which serves as a qualification path to the under 17 African Cup of Nations. Ahead of today's game to be staged in Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the team in the past few weeks engaged in several training camps, which according to Sonny Armstrong, sports analyst, was not enough to prepare the team.
These days, football matches are not won on paper. Football matches are won on the pitch. So no matter the preparation that you put in, what is important is the result that you get on the pitch. And so far, Coach Seydou Alioum has tried to put in the best team that he thinks would be best for him to perform out there in the GRC. So far, the group is good. Some former players are still there, like Singular of Besta. Some new guys have come in, like Gibrila in midfield, equally Roni Baliak of Galactic FA. When you look at the group, it's quite young. It's younger than what we had last year, but they are talented and they'll be conscious of the fact that they're putting on the green and yellow, and always Cameroon qualifies at the level of the under-17s. Yeah, training camp that they had, for me, that's my personal opinion, it was short, but I think that the technical staff was able to work out something with it.
In more sports news, 46-year-old Nigerian female icon and former Super Falcons goalkeeper Precious Ndidi has announced the arrival of a set of quadruplets, marking a joyful milestone after years of waiting. Describing the birth of 2 boys and 2 girls as a miracle and blessing, the 46-year-old expressed deep gratitude for the 4 precious blessings that have transformed her life. Olivier Ndemaipo has joined me in the studio for a summary of this newscast in a French language. Good afternoon.
Brian Biwa. Un plan d'orientation des secours inclusifs existe désormais au Cameroun. Il vise l'amélioration des conditions de vie des personnes handicapées et vulnérables aux inondations et sécheresses. Le dit plan cible les régions du centre et du nord du Cameroun. La cérémonie officielle de présentation du plan d'orientation des secours pour le département du Fundi a lieu ce jour. Le jeûne du Ramadan s'annonce et la communauté musulmane du Cameroun s'y prépare. Il faudra compter, à partir de son lancement, 30 jours de jeûne et abstinence. L'observation du jeûne du Ramadan est l'un des 5 piliers de l'islam. La date d'entrée en jeûne demeure dépend de l'apparition ou non de la lune dans le ciel. Hors de nos frontières, le Fonds monétaire international, c'est le FMI, s'inquiète de la hausse rapide de la masse salariale en République démocratique du Congo, la RDC. À terme, cette situation a débouché sur une crise budgétaire sévère pour l'exercice 2025-2026. Cette situation est consécutive au paiement des salaires des fonctionnaires, lesquels absorbent une part importante des ressources publiques, contribuant ainsi à amoindrir les possibilités d'investissement et sport. Pour finir, la sélection U17 messieurs de football du Cameroun affronte aujourd'hui dès 16h du Gabon. Ce sera dans la ville de Kinshasa, en République démocratique du Congo, la RDC. Le match compte pour la première journée du tournoi de l'Union des fédérations de football d'Afrique centrale, l'UNIFAC. 5 nations y prennent part. Le Cameroun est le détenteur du trophée de la précédente édition.
And it is on that note that we have reached the end of today's edition of the 2 p.m. news. We had on the technical dashboard Salomon Esana. On the cameras, we had Alain Kwek, and production assistants came in from Frinui Crispin. Script editing, we had from Mapala Zita. Editorial coaching came in from Abel Belasamari. Coordination, we benefited from the station's manager Roger Kiek, and for general supervision, the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, my name is Biwa Brian, and up next, over the airwaves of Reality.4 FM is part 2 of Fresh Air Royal. She has joined me in the studio once more. Raissa Parker, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Biwa Brian. Effectivement, c'est pour la deuxième partie de Fresh Air Royal. On va continuer avec nos thématiques. On aura la page pratique avec